We started very high level, as you could all see, like just kind of setting the stage. And now for the next panel, we'd like to get a little bit more practical. So we're going to have 3 business leaders come and share a little bit about how they're actually putting this into practice. What is going well, what maybe is going a little bit less well. And so without further ado, I'd love to invite my next panelists on stage. Marit, Jan, Joost, and Charlie. Thank you. So as I said, we kind of started high level, and now I'd love to sort of bring it back into companies, real action. And I'd love to start with you, Marit. You lead a huge corporation called Albert Heijn that everybody in the Netherlands and beyond pretty much has heard about. And for systems change, which is something, as we heard, is very complex and difficult, we need a mindset shift. We need actually to change the way that we think. And that's not an easy thing. That's sort of one of the most difficult ones. But from that, I feel like a lot of change will trickle down from that. So I'm very curious, in an organization like Albert Heijn, how do you work around changing the mindset and practices within the company, as well as for consumers that you actually serve? Big question.
Easy question to start with. And there's, of course, not an easy answer to that. But I love to be introduced as the more pragmatic part of this day.
Okay.
Because I think for retail, it's all about being pragmatic, being very close to consumers, and also being very close to all our colleagues. Because indeed, Albert Heijn is a big company with 125,000 colleagues working for Albert Heijn. And I think it's the most essential part of really stimulating the change we want we all want here to get, is that it's being very clear on our mission and also being very vocal about it, but also making sure that everybody in the company understands it and also feels that they can contribute to it. And of course, as a CEO, I sometimes love the big steps we are making, but I really think that the key is that I also love the small steps we are making. And as long as the small steps and the big steps are going into the right direction, everybody can contribute, everybody feels also that they are valued, and we are making also a huge step forward with that. Because if every colleague, 125,000, are making 1 step a day, even if it is a baby step, after 365 days a year, it will be a huge step, which will be maybe even bigger than the big step I thought before on. So I think the most important thing is that we value within our mission the small steps everybody can make and the big steps together, because that will give us a lot of energy at the end of the time.
Mm. Yeah. And then how do you inspire that as a leader? How do you, because like you say, I mean, amazing if each person feels incentivized and feels like they have the authority to take these steps. Like how do you as a business leader incentivize all those people to do that each day?
Yeah, we have sharpened our mission in 2021, as probably we all have a mission, and we also have one. And I think the most valuable part in our mission is the verb in it. It's together we make better eating the easy choice for everyone. And believe me, in Dutch it sounds even better. But the make part in the mission is really essential. And of course, we talk about it, but we also have a lot of sessions with everybody in our company, from store employees, from the stock shelvers, from people in logistics, from the IT department, from wherever they are working. And we are talking about what does the mission, how do you relate to it, what can you do to help with it. We're also giving a lot of examples, because if you see another colleague doing something which is really being valued and which is great, then also people want to do it also by themselves. So we talk a lot about it, but we really inspire everyone. Also, you can also be part of it. You can also take a step. And the mission is really clear for everyone, what we want. And within the boundaries of the mission, there's plenty of room to be creative and to take steps.
Amazing. Maybe last before I go on to the next one, or pick on the next person. You talked about how you incentivize all the employees in your company, and then you still have all the consumers, pretty much all of the Netherlands. How do you use that as a way to also change or how do you think about influencing their behavior?
Yeah, of course, we really understand the urgency, and we also we want to contribute to that. But what we also have learned as a big company, who are indeed almost 70 million of the Dutch consumers are shopping with Albert Heijn. It's also good to be realistic and also to involve them and to help them, inspire them, tell them what they can do. And also there, maybe the baby steps are even bigger than we all believe in it. Because it is also about helping people to adjust their eating habits, which is very personal. And also there, so we offer a lot of assortment. We have a lot of Nutri-Score AB assortment. We have a lot of sustainable assortment. But it's not only about having it on the shelves. It's also helping people, okay, what can you do then with it? And how do you then change your eating habit? Because everybody has their own eating patterns. And we are trying to help them, to influence them, to nudge them, to use all those kind of beautiful words. But it is really trying to make people eating every day a little bit better. And every night again, I am realizing that on 6 million plates in the Netherlands, every night again, so also tonight, there's food being bought at Albert Heijn. So if I can influence that by having it a little bit less sugar or a little bit more animal friendly or climate neutral or plant-based, we make a huge difference again. So that's really what we believe in. Every night again, there's an opportunity to influence 6 million plates. And we do that every day, 365 days a year. So I will come there.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. One step at a time. Yeah, I love that. Jan Joost, I'd love to go to you next. You get to lead a big family business. So an organization that has, from its origin, sort of a long-term perspective. I'm kind of assuming here. And you also have been, it sounds like sustainability was a little bit already embedded in the company, but you've been really trying to step up and take it to the next level. And I'm just curious, kind of a similar question to that I just asked Mariet, if you could speak a little bit to how do you inspire action within your company and beyond?
Good question. I also appreciate the fact that I can be here and also talk from a more pragmatical point of view. And because indeed, if you want to describe what our company is doing in one sentence, the other day I was asked, can you describe it to a child? Well, we make beds and mattresses. That's what we do as a family business since 135 years in the Netherlands, in Deventer. And indeed, I think from the founding of the company, the foundation of the company, sustainability was in it, a durable product that we produce in using wood and metal for making beds and mattresses. So it was already in the beginning of the company with us. At the same time, over time, we found that next to being a family business and your socially responsible role that you have as an organization in the environment in which you are present, and we're not so big as Albert Heijn, but we still have quite a stamp in Deventer. We also feel that we need to make sure that whatever we do, whatever we get as output from our production process, is done in a responsible way. And this is why we decided already in 2017, 2018 to start the transition in the mattresses industry to make sure that each mattress that we produced is able to run in a circular business model later on once a mattress gets returned after its usage. Which means that we are able now with making this step as a family business that we are going to bring down the pile of mattresses that is on an annual basis 1.2 units per year in the Netherlands only. We are now able to reduce that significantly by making mattresses more circular in the future. And this is also a very clear example of a pragmatic approach after our foundation to make a change that is really needed. And this is why we do that.
Can you share a little bit about maybe what has worked and also what has not?
Well, we are indeed now, since last year, in the middle of the transition. So half of our turnover consists of the sales of mattresses, and we are actually changing half of the assortment, now half of the turnover, into circular mattresses. So there's a very good story to it. At the same time, there's also a lot of challenges that you face, a lot of worries, a lot of discomfort that you experience while doing this big change, because it's not an easy one. It's not only the product, it's also the production, the way of producing. It's also the marketing story. It's also the consumer acceptance. It's also having suppliers make a change in their way of thinking about materials that you use and apply in producing mattresses. So it's a very big change that sometimes you get a few steps forward, but also quite often you experience some steps back. So the endurance that was talked about earlier, I think, is very important. In combination with your vision, we also have a very clear vision, which is that we believe that a rested world is a better world, is a nicer world. And resting we do.
I love resting. I agree.
And resting we do because of, indeed, the first element that you need to have in place is to have a good product, a good mattress in which you can actually really rest well. But the second point, of course, is resting the planet. And there, the two go very well together. But it's not an easy ride, but we're making progress. And I'm very confident we are able to make the change.
Wonderful. Thank you. Last but definitely not least, Charlie, you are taking a community-based hospitality approach. And these are two quite large companies that we just talked about. We'd also like to bring a smaller company. I mean, you're not that small anymore. I saw you're all across Europe, so it's not like you're a tiny company anymore. But I'd love to hear from your perspective. Also, this sort of the community aspect of it, because we talked about that also in our last panel. Can you just speak a little bit about the future business models and also about how do you bring that, again, mindset, the practices in your company and inspire people to really kind of build the next economy company within your organization?
Yeah, thank you. And nice to be here indeed with some bigger and older companies. We have the advantage, I think, a little bit. We just went through a rebranding last year. So we had 10 years called the Student Hotel, and last year we renamed ourselves as the Social Hub. So I saw it really as an opportunity to kind of reset and reboot ourselves. And if I just talk you through sort of the whys and the whats, etc., the Social Hub exists because we believe that by bringing people together, we create a better society. We do this by hosting and creating meaningful and fun events. We have 2,000 events on a yearly basis for the community. And we do this by building our buildings and redeveloping our buildings, keeping the ownership of them and operating our buildings, where we can really allow people to work and play and learn and stay in these spaces. And of course, as you mentioned, we are European now, so we're in 8 European countries. We have about a portfolio of 11,000 beds. So it starts to become a decent sized portfolio where you can have an influence with the sort of 1,000 staff that we have and over 1 million customers that we're serving. And I guess we really see the advantage of the communities. And the communities are students, they're young professionals, either in our co-working or co-living. We have hotel rooms, so we have corporate travelers, leisure travelers, but the locals are a huge part of our community and a huge part of our business model. So we really, I think Social Hub, the community center. So we're starting to see ourselves as playing a role as a community center. And what we did is really to try and work out, okay, what does it mean to be Social Hub? How do we really combine our brand house with our community? We went into the community and we asked them what we should be doing. Should we be looking for some sort of Forbes 30 under 30 event where you're encouraging entrepreneurship, etc.? But there was an idea that really grabbed our attention, and it was, why don't we take a role as having and hosting safe spaces? We really have safe spaces. Bring all these communities together and host what we called a Better Society Masterclass. So the advantage of a small company is we can make decisions pretty quickly. So within a month, we knocked something up. We were the Pride Hotel in Amsterdam for Gay Pride for the 3rd year in a row, and we decided to host a Better Society Masterclass for the queer community. So we invited 40 different people from all over Europe, different segments of all the LBG, and there's quite a few of them as we know, to discuss what does it mean for them to be a better society, and how can we impact the community. And we held this 3-day course, and to be honest, it was one of the proudest and most exciting moments I've ever had in my business career. The room was crying. It was like this when they presented their solutions. Very simple stuff, but it was really nice to hear the success of this 3-day program. So we've decided to really embrace this and roll this out. And now we want to host 3 different Better Society masterclass topics. So on the inclusive community, also on environmental, and probably on startups, social enterprises, etc. And really try to have every hotel hosting one of these events every single year. So every hotel, 3 events a year throughout the whole portfolio. And I think if we can do that, then we really start to really lead by example, bringing the different communities together and showing people what it is that connects us instead of what divides us, and really try to help bring down these barriers.
Thank you. That's very needed in today's society. Thank you. So you heard about little steps forward each day, also some steps backwards sometime, even when we take steps forward. And what I love too about you, where you were saying about how we might not always need to have all the answers ourselves, but we can actually just ask what people want and then respond to that. So kind of taking all these different pieces. And before we wrap up this second panel, because we're going to talk the next panel about the cooperative and collective action. And so I'd quickly want to ask each of you business leaders if you could just quickly speak about if there was anything that sort of from a collective action perspective would make your job at each of your companies easier. Just very briefly, is there anything that this group together, you try to pass it on to her quickly? Ladies first, or yeah. If there's anything that, as a community, what would make your job easier?
I don't know if it will make my job easier, and I don't think that's the goal of why we are here together. But what I really love, and also why I like to be here, and I also feel that in the stories you are sharing, is the power of positivity. And sometimes we can get maybe a little bit frustrated, caught by the urgency we all feel. But the power of positivity will help more people to get onto the journey than maybe the negative story. So I think stay positive with all of us.
Wonderful. Thank you.
What I would like to add is that in a community like this, and also in one or two others, you tend to have the positive side and the positive vibe and the dreaming part only. But at the same time, as also was explained in the beginning, the actual change to make, the system change or the industry change or your company change, is in many cases very, very complex and challenging. So therefore, I also am always trying to explain that the change and the road we're heading is not easy. You have to be realistic. It's doable, but you have to be brave and positive. But it's not always a nice and an easy ride. So it also creates a lot of comfort. And this is also why I'm here to explain that and to talk about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I mean, we really embrace this community. We're applying to be a B Corp ourselves in the next couple of months, which has been a really educative process. I think, what for me is really exciting is the mindset that we share as leaders of businesses is really kind of a new generation mindset. And I really can notice a difference even, looking to the education and the time that I've needed to spend to bring everybody on board. What are the advantages of even going for a B Corp label? And there's a growing community of people who really understand this, and a lot of people who are open to understanding this. But it is for me a mindset that is connecting us all together, and I really value being in the same spaces as all of you. So,
thank you so much, and thank you all. With that, thank you.